All right, everyone, let's dive into something that I know can be a real challenge for those of you prepping for the IELTS,
Oh, absolutely.
the speaking test.
Yes.
And today we're zeroing in on part 1.
Oh, okay.
Specifically, a topic that seems deceptively simple. Holidays.
Right.
We've got this really insightful IELTS Prep podcast episode
Yes.
as our guide.
I'm ready.
And they really get into the nitty-gritty of how to make even basic answers shine.
I like it.
So I know you've had a chance to listen to it, so I'm curious.
Yes, I have.
What were some of the standout points that really caught your attention?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people think that the IELTS speaking test is just about, can you speak?
Right.
Can you be fluent?
Yeah.
But it's actually so much more than that.
It is.
It's about showing you have like a deep understanding of English.
A mastery.
Yes, like a mastery that goes beyond, just casual everyday chit chat.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's really about showing you can use the language precisely and effectively.
Absolutely. And one of the first things that they jump into in this podcast is a question that I think we've all encountered at some point. And that is, do you like holidays?
Right. Who doesn't like holidays?
No.
It's like the easiest question.
Quite
But even with a simple question like that, you can still mess it up.
You can. You can totally mess it up.
If you don't answer it strategically.
Exactly. So they start off by giving, a pretty standard response.
Yeah, a very generic.
Response.
Yeah. Like, yes, I absolutely love holidays. They provide a much-needed break from the hustle and bustle of everyday life and offer a chance to relax and recharge. Like, solid.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It answers the question. But it's not going to...
It's not going to, It's not going to, give you those extra points.
So how do we take that and, kick it up a notch?
Okay, so that's where the podcast really gets interesting.
Okay.
They give this more elaborate response that I thought was really good. They said something like, yes, I truly enjoy holidays.
Okay.
Because they offer a perfect escape from the routine and allow me to rejuvenate. Okay, so that's good.
Yeah.
But then they go on, they give a personal example.
Okay.
They say, for example, last summer, I visited a beautiful seaside town.
Okay.
The tranquil sound of the waves and the cool ocean breeze
Oh, nice.
made me feel completely relaxed.
Yeah, and so they're not just saying, I like holidays because I get to relax.
Exactly.
They're actually, painting this picture with their words.
And it makes it more engaging.
Yes, and they're using more...
It shows you know how to use vocabulary, like tranquil and ocean breeze. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
This person knows how to use more descriptive language.
Exactly. And you know what else I noticed?
What's that?
Is that they're incorporating these sensory details.
Oh, yes.
Like the sound of the waves, the feel of the breeze. It's like they're really...
It helps the examiner actually picture it.
Yes.
And it makes your answer more memorable.
Well, it makes it more, memorable. And then, of course, the podcast goes on to say that holidays not only recharge their energy, but also help them explore new places and create wonderful memories, which is just like a nice little bow.
A nice little...
on top of that.
Yeah. It just ties it all together.
It does. It's like showing, not telling, but with words.
Exactly.
Which I love.
It's a great way to think about it.
Okay, so we've tackled, do you like holidays? Got a good answer for that.
All right.
Now they hit us with, how often do you take holidays?
Oh, yeah.
And their initial response is, again, pretty straightforward.
Pretty standard.
I try to take holidays at least twice a year. Usually one is a short trip, like a weekend getaway, and the other is a longer vacation. It helps me maintain a good work-life balance.
I mean, that's a pretty solid answer for a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
We can do better.
Okay, I'm ready for better.
All right.
So what's the pro move?
So the podcast recommends, instead of just saying how often you take holidays, talk about how you plan your holidays.
Okay.
So they suggest saying something like, I aim to take holidays at least twice a year. Typically, I plan a short weekend trip to nearby destinations every 6 months to unwind, and once a year, I take a longer vacation, usually to explore a new country or experience a different culture. These breaks help me stay motivated and maintain a healthy work-life balance.
Okay, so it's less about the actual number of holidays you take,
Yes.
and more about how you approach planning and taking holidays.
Exactly.
And it's also
showcase
organization.
Yes. And your vocabulary related to planning.
Like you're strategic about it.
Yes. You're not just like, I take a holiday when I can.
Yeah. It's like you've got it all.
I have a plan.
Mapped out.
Yes.
And you're showing the examiner that you can think ahead.
Exactly.
You're organized. You're motivated.
Remember, the examiner's not just listening to the content of what you're saying.
Right.
They're also looking at how you're saying it.
Exactly.
Are you using a variety of grammar structures?
Mm-hmm.
Are you being clear and concise?
And the vocabulary you're using.
Right, exactly.
It's all part of that overall assessment.
Yes.
And speaking of assessment, let's move on to a question that I think allows for a bit more personality to shine through.
Okay, what's that?
What is your favorite type of holiday?
Yes.
And, the podcast starts off with a pretty standard answer, I prefer relaxing holidays, especially ones by the beach. There's something so calming about the sound of waves and the feel of sand under your feet. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know about you, but that's pretty relatable.
Yeah, who doesn't love
a beach holiday?
But is it enough to really impress the examiner?
No, I think we need to add a little bit more detail.
Okay.
To make it stand out.
So instead of just saying, I like to relax on the beach, what could we do?
So the podcast gives an example, and they say something like, my favorite type of holiday is a relaxing beach vacation. Okay, so that's the same.
Same start.
But then they say, I find the combination of golden sands, turquoise waters, and warm sunshine incredibly soothing.
Ooh.
Okay.
I like it.
You see how they added those
details.
Descriptive words?
Yeah.
It just makes it more vivid.
And it shows that and then they go on and they give a personal example. They're like, for instance, during my last beach holiday.
Okay.
I spent hours reading a book under a palm tree and occasionally dipping into the sea.
Nice.
It's the perfect way to disconnect from the busy world and rejuvenate both physically and mentally.
Oh, okay.
So, they're not just saying they like the beach. They're explaining why they like it.
Yeah.
What they do.
Yeah.
How it makes them feel.
They're painting that picture.
Exactly.
I love it.
And those descriptive phrases like golden sands and turquoise waters. Mm-hmm. It shows your vocabulary range.
It does.
Without sounding forced, It sounds natural.
So it's like you are showing off your vocabulary?
Yes.
But in a way that's...
In a way that sounds natural and engaging.
Engaging.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got our beach vacation sorted. Now, for those of us who, love to travel with a crew, the next question is, do you prefer holidays with family or friends?
Oh, good one.
And the podcast keeps it simple with, I prefer holidays with family because it's a great way to bond and spend quality time together.
Yeah.
Solid start.
Totally.
But I have a feeling
we can go deeper.
So what's the deeper dive?
Okay, so instead of just saying you prefer family holidays, think about a specific memory or an anecdote that shows why you enjoy them.
So a story.
Yes, a little story.
Okay.
So the podcast gives an example, and they say, I usually prefer holidays with my family because it gives us an opportunity to strengthen our bond and create lasting memories.
Okay.
And then they go on and they say, for example, last year, we went on a road trip across the countryside.
Nice.
It was a wonderful experience exploring a small town.
I like it.
Enjoying local cuisine and having heartfelt conversations along the way. Traveling with family brings a sense of comfort and joy that's hard to match.
Oh, that's nice.
So, they're not just saying family holidays are good. They're actually explaining why they're good.
Yeah.
And giving a concrete example.
And it's that personal touch, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're not just reciting.
And it makes you more relatable.
Yeah.
It shows you're a real
person.
You're a human with real experiences.
With a family.
Yes.
Who goes on road trips.
Yes.
And eats local food.
It's all about finding that sweet spot between, showing off your language skills and engaging with the examiner on a personal level.
It's that connection.
Yes.
Okay, now, I'm ready for a question that I know sparks a lot of excitement.
Okay, hit me with it.
What's your dream holiday destination?
Oh, come on. Everyone's got one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And the podcast, they keep it concise.
Okay.
My dream destination is Switzerland because of its beautiful landscapes and snow-covered mountains.
Oh, okay. But I feel like we can do more.
Okay.
We can expand on that a little bit.
So instead of just saying, I want to go to Switzerland because it's pretty, What could we add?
So they suggest saying something like, my ultimate dream holiday destination is Switzerland. Okay, so same start.
Okay.
But then they say, the country's breathtaking landscapes, including snow-capped mountains, crystal clear lakes, and picturesque villages.
Okay, there.
Have always fascinated me. Okay, so now you're
layering in the detail.
Yes, you're giving more specific.
Yeah.
And then they say, I'd love to take a scenic train ride through the Alps and spend time skiing or just enjoying the stunning views. It's the perfect blend of adventure and relaxation.
I like it.
And I hope to visit it someday.
Okay, so now we've got...
So you're not just naming the place. You're actually describing what you would do there.
We've got activities.
Yes.
And feelings, like how it would make you feel.
Exactly.
And it's like we're taking the examiner on this virtual trip with us to Switzerland.
And you're showing you can use descriptive language. You know, you can express your aspirations. You can engage the examiner.
It's almost like a little mini story.
Exactly.
So I like it. I think that's a good answer.
And it shows you've got a good vocabulary.
It does. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But I have a question.
Okay.
Because we've been talking about like really elaborating on these answers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a risk of like over preparing?
Oh, that's a good question.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, could sounding too rehearsed actually hurt your score?
Well, you know, that's actually a really important nuance.
It is.
And that's something that the deep dive actually gets into.
It does.
So I think we should maybe...
So let's
explore that a little bit more.
That in the next part. So, okay, I'm ready.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, like, you want to be prepared, but you also don't want to sound like you're just reciting a memorized speech.
Right, exactly. And it's a tough balance to strike.
It is.
You know, because you want to show off your language skills, but you also want to sound natural and spontaneous.
Right, like you're having a genuine conversation.
Exactly, and that's what the IELTS speaking test is really all about.
It is, yeah. It's supposed to mimic real-life communication.
Right, and that's where over-preparing can actually backfire.
It can.
Because if you sound too rehearsed, it's like, well, are you really communicating effectively?
Right. It's like you're just going through the motions.
Exactly.
So I'm curious, how does the podcast we're looking at address this challenge?
Well, they actually have a really interesting role play section that I think sheds some light on this.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So the hosts actually take turns playing the role of the examiner and the student.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's really helpful because it gives you a sense of what a real test interaction might be like.
It's like we're getting a sneak peek behind the curtain.
Exactly. So in one of the scenarios, the examiner asks, what do you usually do during holidays?
Okay, a classic question. What does the student say?
The student responds with, during holidays, I love traveling to new places, especially those with historical significance. For instance, last year I visited Rome, where I explored iconic landmarks like the Colosseum and the Vatican City. Apart from traveling, I enjoy reading novels and trying out different cuisines. Holidays provide me with the perfect balance of relaxation and adventure.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. They've got specific examples or using some good vocabulary. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a solid answer, and it definitely demonstrates a good command of English. But let's break it down a bit further.
Okay, I'm ready for the analysis.
Notice how they've used phrases like historical significance and iconic landmarks.
Yes, those are good choices.
Right. It shows they have a strong grasp of vocabulary related to travel and culture. And then they link their other interests, reading and trying new foods, back to the idea of balance.
Oh, I see. That's clever.
Yeah, it creates a sense of coherence and shows they can connect their personal preferences to the question in a natural way.
So it's not just a list of random things they like to do. It's a well-thought-out response.
Exactly.
Okay, what about the next role play scenario? What do they ask there?
So in the next one, the examiner asks, what's your most memorable holiday experience?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's like an invitation to tell a story.
Right, and the student definitely takes advantage of that. They respond with, one of my most memorable holidays was a trip to Japan. I visited during the cherry blossom season, and the sight of the blooming trees was absolutely mesmerizing. I also enjoyed exploring traditional tea houses and learning about Japanese culture. It was an unforgettable blend of natural beauty and cultural enrichment.
Wow, that does sound memorable. They painted a beautiful picture with their words.
Yes, they did. And notice how they use some really evocative language like mesmerizing and unforgettable.
Those are good choices.
Right. It adds depth and emotion to their response. But they're also doing something else that's really important.
What's that?
They've structured their answer to highlight the contrast between natural beauty and cultural enrichment.
Oh, I see. Like they're showing they can organize their thoughts and present a cohesive narrative.
Exactly, and that's a key skill that examiners look for.
It's like they're giving a mini essay, but in spoken form.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've seen some great examples of how to answer these holiday-themed questions. But what are the overall strategies, the big picture tips that can help us really nail this part of the test?
Well, the podcast emphasizes a few key things that are worth repeating. First and foremost, always answer the question directly.
Okay, that seems obvious, but I guess it's easy to get sidetracked.
It can be, especially when you're nervous. But it's crucial to stay focused and make sure your response is relevant to what the examiner asked.
So no rambling about your aunt's cat collection.
Exactly. Keep it concise and to the point. And then, don't be afraid to elaborate, but make sure your elaboration is adding value to your answer.
Okay, so it's about quality over quantity.
Precisely.
And I imagine using a variety of sentence structures is important too, right?
Absolutely. You want to showcase your grammar skills by incorporating different types of sentences: simple, compound, complex.
So it's not just about being grammatically correct, it's about showing off your range.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to demonstrate that you have a sophisticated understanding of English grammar.
Okay, what about vocabulary? Should we be trying to cram in as many big words as possible?
Not necessarily. While it's important to use a variety of vocabulary, it's more important to use it naturally.
So it's about choosing the right words for the right context, not just throwing in big words for the sake of it.
Exactly. The examiner wants to see that you can use vocabulary accurately and effectively, not just that you know a lot of words.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about pronunciation and intonation? How important are those?
Those are crucial. Even if your grammar and vocabulary are perfect, if the examiner can't understand you, it'll affect your score.
Right, it's all about effective communication.
Exactly. So pay attention to your pronunciation, your intonation, your pace. Make sure you're speaking clearly and understandably.
Good reminder. I sometimes get so caught up in my head that I forget about how I actually sound.
It happens. But the good news is that you can practice this.
And that's where the recording yourself comes in, right?
Yes, that's one of the most valuable tips the podcast gives. Record yourself answering practice questions and then listen back to it.
It's like having your own personal IELTS coach.
Exactly. You can analyze your pace, your intonation, your pronunciation, and identify any areas where you might be stumbling or using filler words.
Filler words, the bane of my existence. Like,
We all have them, but the more you practice, the better you'll get at eliminating them.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From understanding the nuances of the scoring criteria to crafting engaging answers and practicing effectively.
It's a lot to take in, but it all boils down to this. Success on the IELTS speaking test is a combination of strategy, skill, and practice.
And when we connect all of this to the bigger picture, it becomes clear that it's not just about speaking fluent English. It's about demonstrating a mastery of the language that goes beyond everyday conversation.
Exactly.
So for our listener who's on this IELTS journey, what are the key takeaways? What should they be focusing on right now?
Yeah, it's like you're presenting this polished version of yourself, but in a way that still feels authentic and engaging.
Right, like you want to impress them with your English skills.
Yes.
But not sound like a robot doing it.
Exactly.
So for our listener who's out there like really prepping for this IELTS speaking test, what are the absolute must-dos? What are the things that they should be focusing on as they get ready for this?
Okay, well, first, let's recap those key takeaways from the podcast.
Yeah.
Remember, it's not just about answering the question. You need to elaborate, give reasons, give examples, showcase your vocabulary.
Right, like really paint that picture with your words.
Exactly, and it's got to sound natural.
Yeah, we keep saying that.
I know, it's so important.
But it's true.
It is.
It's that balance between showing off your skills and still sounding like a human.
Exactly. Like imagine you're talking to a friend who really appreciates good English.
I like that.
You're still being yourself, but you're also using the language in a way that's impressive.
Okay, so we've got the content part down.
Yes.
Now, what about the delivery? Any tips on how to really make a good impression on the examiner?
Well, confidence is key.
Oh, yeah.
And confidence comes from practice.
Right.
The more you practice,
the
more comfortable you'll feel.
The more natural it will sound.
Exactly. And remember, the examiner wants you to succeed.
Oh, that's a good point.
They're not trying to trick you.
Yeah.
They want to see you do well.
It's easy to forget that sometimes.
It is. So relax, take a deep breath, and try to enjoy the conversation.
Right, like see it as an opportunity to, like, showcase your skills.
Exactly.
Not as, like, an interrogation.
Yes. And here's a bonus tip from the podcast.
Okay.
Make eye contact.
Oh, yeah.
It shows you're engaged and confident.
It's like any other conversation.
Right.
Eye contact is important.
It builds rapport.
Okay, so the podcast focused on holidays.
Mm-hmm.
But these tips, we could really apply them to any IELTS Speaking Part 1 question, right?
Absolutely. It doesn't matter if they ask you about your hobbies, your hometown, your future plans.
Right.
The principles are the same.
It's all about...
Answer clearly.
Yeah.
Elaborate with details and examples.
Mm-hmm.
And showcase your language skills.
But do it in a way that feels natural and engaging.
Exactly.
Okay, so if there's one piece of advice, like the golden nugget that our listeners should take away from this whole deep dive,
yes,
what would it be?
Don't underestimate the power of preparation and practice.
Oh yeah, practice makes perfect.
It really does.
Or, as close to perfect as we can get.
The more you familiarize yourself with the test,
Yeah.
the types of questions, the strategies, the more confident you'll be on test day.
Absolutely.
You got this.
We believe in you.
Yes.
And remember, this isn't just about a score.
No.
It's about building your confidence and your fluency in English.
It'll open so many doors for you.
It will, so keep practicing.
Keep learning.
And keep believing in yourself.
We're cheering you on.
We are. Good luck on your IELTS journey.
Yes. Good luck, everyone.